I'm making this video. I'm making this damn video. Okay. Okay. I'm going to say okay a lot. I feel like I'm in The Fault in Our Stars. It's just like, okay, okay, okay. How do you start? How? I mean, how do I even start a video like this? Welcome to my 6 months of hell. Hi guys, I'm Shelley, and the title of this video is not clickbait. I wish it kind of was. So basically, I have had a cancer scare, is what I'm trying to get out and trying not to say at the same time because I don't really know how to. Getting a bit emotional. I am gonna be very emotional throughout this video, I think, because it's been a hell of a 6 months. They've not been easy. I have not been talking about it because I haven't really wanted to until I had... Okay, stop rambling. Let's get to the point. So, 6 months ago, is it 6 months ago? Possibly 4. I don't know how to count. Last April, I went for a smear test where you are tested for cervical cancer here in the UK. I was supposed to have it the November before, at the same time I was having an endometrioma scan, but due to complications with that scan, I was unable to have a smear test at the same time because the area was contaminated. So I waited, and I waited a bit longer than probably was advisable, but last April I went for a smear test, and I was told before that I had the test that here in Bristol and most of the southwest they were starting a new campaign, a new set of rules for doing a smear test, which is they were now going to scan for HPV, which is a tongue twister, the human papilloma virus, and I keep wanting to say the human pavlova virus. So if I say that a couple of times, I apologise. Basically, they're looking for pavlova. No, they're not. They're looking for the HPV virus, which is the human papilloma virus, which is now the most common STD ever. It's basically a virus like a cold sore, only you can get it in intimate areas. It's a virus you pick up, you carry, very rarely goes active, it just gets in your system and there you have, poof, you've got it. And it is spread through skin-to-skin contact. It is also the pre-test to cancer. So basically you can't have ovarian cancer without having HPV, is sort of the idea I've been given. And so they're now testing for HPV so they can test one step further back and catch it even earlier. I have my normal smear test. I think I did a video about it at the time. It's unpleasant, but you know, you get over it and you get it done. There were complications for me because I am complicated, and because of EDS, all internal examinations cause quite a lot of internal bruising and internal damage. 2 days, I think it's 2 days, yes, 2 days before I leave to go on holiday, so I'm mid-packing, I have a letter in the post informing me that my smear test has come back positive for HPV and positive for abnormal cells, which are the first signs, I guess, of anything being wrong. I knew nothing about HPV at the time. I didn't know I had it. I didn't know how I could have got it. So sort of panicked about that, and then also the abnormal cells. That's not a good sign that I had 2 things going on that were wrong. I panicked because you would. I mean, I didn't know much information back then, and so I was just like, holy crap, do I have cancer now? Is that what this is saying? And of course it's not saying that, it's just saying I have a positive thing, and it's saying that I'll have more information in the post and an appointment will be made. But yeah, I panicked. I then stupidly got in a car, which was a very bad idea, and then got into a car accident. Because everything that was going on in my brain, so I then had to deal with having a car accident and the stress of that. So I talked to friends who had the same positive results as me. I say positive, they're like happy positive. No, they're not. They're positive as in you have something wrong with you. So I proceeded to talk to quite a lot of people who had had the same results, and they just said don't panic. a lot of people have these results, chances are you just got HPV. And I'm just like, well, for a start, where the frig did that come from? And all these things were going on in my brain. I'm just like, right, well, now I have to have a HPV test to see if the virus is active and to see if I need to do anything about that. I wasn't showing signs of having HPV. There was no external signs at all. Usually there was a rash or something, and none of that. So I didn't know I was carrying this. I didn't know where it had come from. I'd never had a HPV positive test before. I'd had STD tests and everything else. They've always come back clean. I don't know where it's come from. To be honest, there is a chance it came from hospital because it is skin to skin contact, and things happened in the hospital that I am not okay to go into, but there's a chance it came from the hospital. There's a chance it came from multiple, I suppose, different places. I haven't narrowed it down to where it's come from ever, but I have it now. So the first thing was to go to the STD clinic, and I had the most wonderful nurse. I cannot tell you how kind and wonderful she was. And I explained the situation. I explained that I had a smear test and all this stuff was happening, and I was really stressed and really scared. And I was just like, can I be giving HPV to other people? And am I now carrying it? I don't understand what HPV is. Have I endangered other people by not knowing I had it? And she's just like, no, if you're not active, you can't pass it on to anybody. So chances are you haven't passed it on to anybody because you're not active. Basically, the problems that I was having were literally stress eczema. She took one look at me and going, I think I know what's happened. Your immune system has gone completely bonkers because you are stressed because you've had this result. I'll take a swab and I'll do a full bunch of tests. And she did the whole works for me because she could see how scared I was. She goes, you know what, I'm going to test you for absolutely everything, the worst possible. You know, we went from HPV to HIV, basically. The whole round got tested. She took blood, the whole thing, because she could see how stressed I was. I got my test results back and they all came back clean. Even the HPV came back clean, which I found really strange. So I was just like, okay, so why are the smear people telling me that I have HPV? I still find this confusing. I'm talking to you not as somebody who knows everything. I should say that. If you have any questions about this, I would suggest talking to a doctor. If you've had an HPV positive, talk to a doctor, because I am out of my depth with all of this, to be honest. I've researched the best I can and it's still vague because there's so many different strands of it, so many different versions of it. It's so confusing. I've now got to the point where I'm kind of contacting people and saying, look, I've had this possible HPV positive, maybe you should go and get tested. That was not an easy conversation to have. I was very scared to do it, but also I don't want to be that wanker who doesn't tell somebody, because obviously somebody didn't tell me. And yeah, or I could have got it from hospital. It's still vague as to where the hell it turned up from, but anyway. Oh God, where am I? I get lost in all of this, and this isn't even the scary thing. The HPV is just the surface thing that got sorted, and that was it. But I'm still waiting on my letter from the hospital to say what will happen next, which finally did come through. And this is where I freaked, because I was given a letter and two different pamphlets from the NHS explaining what would happen in this second test, in this second kind of sorting out to go to the gynecological department of Southmead Hospital. One of the pamphlets said nothing really was going to happen. It was just going to be basically another smear test to have a look and to confirm or deny what was going on with me. The other pamphlet said I may have something called a laparoscopy. I can't pronounce it. Laparoscopy. Basically, minor surgery, where they would, I don't really know exactly what it is, but you would have an anaesthetic and things would be removed, cells from your body would be removed, like the possible cancer cells would be removed from your body. Would probably be the worst case scenario that would happen. And I'm just like, well, which is going to happen? How are we going to decide which thing's going to happen. I can't have friggin' anaesthetics because of my EDS. You're now telling me what we're gonna have to do this without anaesthetic. I'm just gonna have to grin and bear it while you remove part of me while I'm awake. I panicked. All of this was going through my head. All of the things of just that I've just gone through gastroparesis and heart failure and everything else of the last 5-6 years, and now you're telling me I might possibly have cancer. I mean, I know that was the last possible thing that could actually happen, but I'm just like, with my luck, are you actually kidding me? I've got endometriosis, I've got an endometrioma right now, let's throw cancer into the mix. Why not? Let's just, basically, for the last 6 months, I have been crackers. Yeah. I've been on the edge of anger and tears and just numbness from all of the things I didn't know, because these pamphlets that I was given were just completely bonkers. I mean, I love the NHS. I love the fact that they help people be free, but my God, these pamphlets scare the hell out of you because they make no sense. I really didn't know. I had like a good 2 or 3 months worrying I was just going to randomly have minor surgery when I turned up for this appointment. The woman on the end of the phone couldn't really tell me what was going on. I visited so many different advice websites about what these appointments may have, and they didn't really know because it changes depending on what result you get, and my result was so vague because it was yes to HPV and yes to abnormal cells. I was in a state of complete and utter bewilderment and being frightened, and yeah, I hadn't really told anybody at this point. Most of my immediate family didn't even know because I didn't want to share anything until I knew anything. Like, there's no point in going to your family and going, I might have cancer, if you don't actually have cancer. I didn't want to put that on them, you know? So I sort of kept it quiet and didn't say anything. So I went to this procedure, my best mate took me. Bless her heart. She made me giggle the whole way through. There was Spice Girls playing, we laughed, it was chucking it down like mad. It was like friggin' bonkers. And we were just kind of talking away, just going, right, worst comes to the worst, you can say no, you don't have to have any kind of surgery. We can just leave and you can think about it and come back at another time. You just take it 5 seconds at a time and get through the best you can. I was very, very scared. And I got in the room and I had one practitioner nurse who was going to do the examination and stuff, and then one normal nurse there with me. And they sat me down, and I think they were talking to me and they were telling me stuff, but to be honest I wasn't really taking it in. But then she said, the worst thing that's going to happen today is that I'm going to take a pinprick biopsy. And I was just like, so I'm not having minor surgery? She said, no, why do you think that? And I'm just like, well, I had this leaflet saying. And she said, no, that's 2 or 3 appointments down the line if you have lots and lots of positive results. She said, your results that you have at the moment are so low, are so tiny, the chances of you having cancer are slim to none. The chances of me having to actually do a biopsy today are so low. And I'm just like, that couldn't have been put in the letter? Apparently not. But I was just relieved that was all that was going to happen, but also I was still extremely kind of like, I'm still scared because, yeah. One thing I have to say about Southmead Hospital, I do want to praise them because they were lovely throughout the procedure. The room that I was in to have the procedure was a lot nicer than any other room I've ever been in. Usually when you're having any kind of when I'm having any kind of gynecological exam, I'm sat on one of those, or I'm lying on one of those really hard beds. You're flat down, which doesn't do my blood pressure any good. Your legs are akimbo, it's really uncomfortable. But in this procedure room for Southmead, it was a chair. It was this lovely squishy chair, and I'm just like, I have to sit in that? I mean, I'm not going to complain, this is lovely, thank you. So you get kind of naked from the waist down, and I'm sat in this chair, and basically what happens is the chair is tilted back very slowly, bit by bit, but you're sat up the whole time. It's just like you're not laid flat, you're just slightly tipping back, which is much better for my blood pressure. And then so you've got these kind of 2 things that your feet are on. They're not stirrups, your feet go on them, and the doctor comes up to you, and she just they move on little hinges, and they move apart. That's so much more comfier. I cannot tell you, from an EDS standpoint, I'm not having to put pressure on any joints. I'm not having to hold myself. My legs can relax. I can relax so much more, and that helps so much because I tend to dislocate or strain or lock when I'm having examinations, and this didn't happen. The best thing, I have to praise Southmead for this, because at every smear test I've ever been, I've always said it should be like a spa. There should be things painted on the ceiling. There should be lights going. You should have a glass of Prosecco or something. Never happens. But in Southmead Hospital, somebody's taken 3 or 4 tiles out from above the head of this chair, painted a beach scene, tropical beach scene, and put them back up. There was a lot of laughing. It kind of diffused the situation, because I'm just like, are you actually kidding me? It looks like Pensacola. And if you've ever watched Contact, you will get that reference. But I'm just like, Pensacola is on the friggin' ceiling. Kind of epic. Legs akimbo and Ingo the speculum, and this is where my trouble begins. I don't get on with speculums, and they cause a lot of pain and a lot of internal bruising and a lot of trouble, and the doctor apologised over and over again, but sadly she had to force it in quite hard and hold it in because my body doesn't like them so much that it rejects them quite violently, and so unfortunately she did have to hold it in place because my body was just not cooperating. That gets me really upset, but it's not the doctor's fault. They have to, I consent to this examination. She asked every single step of the way. There was no bullying, there was no being horrible. I understand my anatomy is awkward, and so this is how the only way it can happen. So that was done, and she put some sort of dye on the inside of my vaginal wall to see if any of the cells lit up or any of the cells went a funny colour, to show that they were abnormal. She said, to be on the safe side, I would like your consent to take a biopsy, and I said yes, that's fine, because I'd rather just get it over and done with. So she explained that the tiny little pinprick as big as a pen, nib of a pen, will be taken from me, and then a sealant will be put over me to stop the bleeding. The speculum finally came out, and they very, very slowly tip me up and leave me to kind of collect my thoughts and get ready and leave. The other nurse there helped me because obviously I was on crutches and I was having extreme difficulty, so she stuck around and helped. They tried to talk to me afterwards, telling me what would happen next and what I should expect from healing, but to be honest, most of it didn't go in because I was in like so much pain by then. Basically, what I know now is that you shouldn't swim, have sex or exercise for 5 to 7 days afterwards, but because of my EDS, she said I'd say 10 to 14 days because you're gonna heal slower. I was in a lot of pain. I used my BU strips to try and mask the pain. I was also using CBD oil, and I was also vaping CBD to try and kind of stay calm, stop panicking, and I was to get my results in I think you said 8 to 10 weeks. Was it 10 to 12? I can't remember, but it was going to be quite a long time. And so I went home to a terrific amount of pain. I've had a coil fitted. I know what pain feels like, and this was sort of up there. I couldn't move for 2 days, basically. The pain was horrendous. I can't take painkillers or normal painkillers, so I had to just kind of get myself through it, but it was not pleasant for 2 days. I was in a lot of pain, and my emotional state was kind of, there was a relief that I wasn't having any other procedures done right now, but also I was angry at the amount of information I didn't know, and the fact that for 2 or 3 months I thought I might have been having major friggin' surgery at that appointment. I was angry at the fact that I didn't know much information, but I couldn't do anything about that, so I just kind of tried to get my head down. The recovery process was long. It took a long time to kind of get back to any sort of normal strength. To be honest, I still think I'm feeling the effects now, every period I've had since, and they've both been extremely bad because I think the amount of bruising that's gone on down there. it's still affecting me now. And my emotional state has been dreadful, and then 2 weeks ago now, I think it is, I finally got my results. So it went from June to August, I think it took to get my results. And they came back negative, thank God. All of this build up, and they did come back negative. It came back as there were still signs of HPV. Still don't know where the frig that's come from or how it's showing up, but it was signs of HPV, but the abnormal cells weren't. I can't remember the wording, but basically it came back as clear. I now have to have smear tests every 3 years instead of every 5, just in case. But the ordeal was, from their point of view, over. I gotta say I was relieved, obviously, and I then went on and told family and friends what had just happened and explained everything, and why I hadn't told them, because I didn't want to worry them and there was no point. And now that everything was so-say okay again, but obviously I'm now dealing with everything, the trauma that has happened over the last 6 months. I mean, I know that it for me it feels weird saying trauma because I don't have cancer, and so it's not really traumatic. So many women, cervical cancer, so many women have it, and probably I sound like a moaning, whining little brat for the fact that I don't, and all I had to do was go through these procedures. But for me, they were traumatic, emotionally, physically. I'm kind of carrying it a little bit, and I don't want to, and I'm trying to kind of process it and work my way through it, because I don't want to carry this for the rest of my life. I've learned that I don't process things when they happen, and I should, because otherwise I carry them for too long. The last 6 months, the emotional torment of this has had effects in my life in other ways. My stomach and just the way I interact with people has been a bit weird for the last 6 months. I haven't really engaged properly with anything. I've tried to, but it's been very, very difficult to kind of connect with anything because I've been carrying this, and now I'm trying to process it and figure out how not to get so wound up about it. I am extremely grateful to the NHS for finding it and dealing with it the way that they did. I mean, I'm not grateful that they didn't give me all the information, and that the booklets that sent completely contradicted themselves and are a friggin' mess. I gotta say, NHS, you screwed up on that one major time. But I'm so grateful the NHS existed, and I was tested for this and I found out what was going on. I'm so grateful to the nurses and to the STD clinic, who were just fantastic. Yeah. I just want to say thank you to everybody who helped, and thank you for everybody's sort of patience and kindness with me afterwards when I explained what was going on. Yeah. So that is what has been going on for the last 6 months. I'm now free of it, sort of. I'm free of the... I'm still carrying it, but I'm free of the actual hanging over my headness of it. I guess I wanted to share this because having a positive result for smear tests is probably actually quite common, and so this is what might happen if you have that. I just wanted to share my process, and I hope that this isn't happening to anybody else, but if they are dealing with this, then please talk to your doctor or or the nurses, or ask the questions, because I didn't and I wish I had. I probably might have known more, and it will be okay, hopefully. Yeah, I feel like I should be saying more. I feel like there's more things I should have learned or things I should be sharing with you, but I don't really know right now because I'm not at the place where I can look back on it and it not be something that's very scary for me. Hopefully I can one day make maybe an HPV video about more information about that, and I can be more detached to it, but right now it's still very much a thing that is going on in my brain. Thank you for watching if you got to the end of this. I'm gonna go nap now and process everything until friggin' November when I have to have another examination. Yeah, I hope you guys are good. Thanks for watching and listening to this whole story. And I will see you guys soon for hopefully a more upbeat Hormone Diaries. Hopefully. Okay. Bye. Okay. I did it. Did I do it? I don't want to record this again. I don't want to have to go through this again.